If you could fight anybody ever, who would your ultimate fantasy fight be?
I think fighting Brock Lesnar would have been really cool. You know, Brock isn't the most technical guy, but he has a massive fan base. He's a lot bigger than me, and it would have been one of those really cool kind of David and Goliath situations. It would have been really cool for cross sport promoting, and I think we both would have done great things for our family and for our team. You know, financially, that would have been massive.
I would watch that. That'd be a good fight.
It's not, never say never, Brock. If you're out there,
January, February, March, April, May, June, 6 months.
Then the heavyweight division needs him.
Fuck yeah.
Jon Jones, first heavyweight fight, Brock Lesnar. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You imagine that fight?
Hey, I'm here with Big Brock Lesnar right after the SmackDown. How you feeling, bro?
Good, man. Good.
That was a lot of fun. My first time getting to watch him do his thing, and he was a beast out there. The people loved him.
Thank you.
Yeah, good time.
From a legacy built on dominance to a fantasy fight that could shake the entire fight world, Jon Jones just threw a name into the cage that nobody saw coming. Not Ngannou, not Stipe. We're talking about Brock Lesnar. That's right, a potential clash of pure power, spectacle, and showmanship that feels ripped straight from a UFC dream book.
Well, what did you think of Jon Jones?
He's just so good. He's on another level. He's beaten so many world champions. I mean, he's beaten everybody.
Think Brock could get in there with him?
That would have been very interesting.
Yeah.
Because Brock was so fucking big, and Brock's wrestling was so good. And, you know, when that guy shot a power double, it was like getting hit by a bus.
Yeah.
He was so big.
Yeah.
What's incredible with Brock is that Brock went from pro wrestling to being the UFC heavyweight champion. I mean, and did so with such a short amount of time of training in MMA. I mean, obviously he had a spectacular amateur wrestling career. He was a legit top flight amateur wrestler and a fucking genetic freak. I don't think he gets enough credit for what I think a lot of people say. Oh, he was so big and he was this and that and he did steroids and there's all these excuses. Like, you don't understand what that guy did. Like, what that guy did is nothing short of insanity. Like, no one's ever done that before.
Brock Lesnar! If you want to know what it feels like to get your ass kicked by a guy who weighs 40 pounds less than you, meet me in the octagon.
Jon didn't just drop Lesnar's name for hype, he laid out the vision. This wasn't about technique or rankings, it was about scale, impact, and a once-in-a-lifetime kind of spectacle. Brock's size and fame, contrasted with Jon's finesse and legacy, would have created a David versus Goliath scenario the sport rarely sees. It wasn't just about who's better in the octagon, it was about shaking up the entire industry.
Tell me about Brock Lesnar. Another dude's a freaky athlete, man. Don't give two either. Brock is not a people person whatsoever.
I used to worry about him because I love this and I just don't want nobody to shoot his ass. Listen, he got to be careful. He be f***ing people and shit. He kicked some guy's ass in the airplane.
Oh, dude, yeah. No, I was on that flight.
Listen,
yeah.
Listen, right? They talk about me in the airplane. He took him in the bathroom.
Oh.
Well, that's what's so sensational about Brock.
He's adapted to everything in his life. For his size, he's 310 pounds. He's the best athlete I've ever been in a ring with. He's explosive, he's quick, he's fast, he's strong as hell. I did wrestle him one time for real. Someone went up to him and asked him how he'd do against Kurt Angle. He said, I kick his ass. So the guy comes to me and says, hey, Brock said he could beat you in a wrestle match. Following week, he was in the ring with Big Show, and they were wrestling for real. Brock was double-legging him, picking him up and slamming him. I'm like, holy shit, I don't know if I could beat this guy, right? The wrestlers tell you that I kicked his ass, that I dominated him, but that's not true. I did beat him, but he's the real deal.
For Jon, this wouldn't have been just another win. It would have been a milestone moment, a fight that lives in highlight reels, in promos, in combat sports history. And beyond the lights and roar, there was a business mind at work. Jon saw it as a financial powerhouse, a move that would elevate both camps, feed families, and rewrite what cross-sport promotion could look like in MMA. And then, just as casually, he sent a shout out into the universe. Never say never, Brock, if you're out there. No drama, no trash talk, just a door left cracked open for one of the wildest matchups that still lives rent-free in fans' minds. And while the fantasy of Jon Jones versus Brock Lesnar feels like something made for pay-per-view gold, there's another layer to Jon that continues to spark debate among fighters and analysts alike. It's not just about who he fights, it's about how he fights and who he's becoming in the process. Robin Black and Joe Rogan didn't mince words. They peeled back the curtain on Jon's fight IQ, his ability to weaponize overlooked moments and create openings where others see dead ends. Whether it's using hand traps to set up elbows or exploiting those brief seconds during a scramble to launch devastating kicks, Jones doesn't just compete, he manipulates time and space in the cage.
When you're fighting a guy like
Well,
that.
how about Jon Jones' use of you grab his wrist and he comes over the top with an elbow?
Yeah.
I mean, that is hand trapping.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I mean, it really is what it is.
Or when he Glover Teixeira.
Oh, yeah.
That's limb destruction.
Yep.
That's old school
Yep.
limb destruction.
Yeah.
How and why that hasn't been rabbit holed a lot more. Although you do start to see that in that moment where you know, I get to 4 points and I'm going to stand up and you just kind of decide, okay, that's all right, we'll get back to the fence. In that process of standing up, a lot of guys throw a fight finishing kick there or just at least take that chance to smash your leg with one. Like there's free shots that exist in these moments. And Jon Jones is a master of.
But the admiration for his craft often runs parallel to concern for the man behind it. Rogan pointed to a recurring theme. Jon's genius in the octagon exists alongside personal chaos outside it. From questionable circles to reckless behavior, the talk wasn't about pointing fingers. It was about hoping he find clarity. Because talent like his doesn't come around often, and watching it get dragged down by poor choices is a heartbreak fans never sign up for. Even Rogan, who's sat across from Jon and seen the intelligence firsthand, admitted there's a duality. He can be honest and thoughtful one moment, and surrounded by enabling energy the next. The brilliance in his fight style is undeniable, but so is the weight he carries off stage, one that sometimes leaks into public feuds and questionable decisions.
Finding them.
He really is. Yeah, I hope they figure out what the fuck they're going to do with him soon. I don't know where they stand now in terms of like his suspension or what have you, but here's my ultimate goal, my hope, my dream is that Cormier fights Stipe for the heavyweight title. And somewhere around then, they announce when Jon Jones' suspension is up. They announce Jon Jones versus Brock Lesnar.
Ooh, man. Love it. I love it. I mean, look at their body types and look at what they are and where they come from. I mean, I love it. But I know you've sat down with Jon and stuff. What did you like? What did he feel like? Do you know what I mean? Like, what read did you get from him? Did you feel like he was saying the things that he thought you wanted to hear, or did you feel he was being honest and genuine?
He's definitely both. He's being honest, and he's also had some things that he planned out. I like Jon a lot. I really love that guy. But I think he surrounds himself with...
And maybe that's why the fantasy matchup with Brock carries such weight. It's not just two titans clashing. It's a chance, even if imagined, to see Jon Jones channel every ounce of greatness into something unforgettable. But before that can happen, he may need to face something even tougher than Brock himself. But while Robin Black and Joe Rogan dove deep into Jon's brilliance inside the octagon, Ariel Helwani took the conversation in a much-needed direction. The weight of that brilliance when it clashes with accountability. Helwani addressed the buzz around Jon's recent Instagram Live, a clip where Jones responded to fans calling him a duck for not fighting Tom Aspinall. And rather than deny it flat out, Jon shrugged it off with a smirk. I don't know if it's considered ducking when you're living good.
Jon Jones' legacy is intact, and all the stuff he's saying has been this story that's been going on and on and on and on. But this one, I could understand why it may have upset people, triggered people. Did you guys see on his IG Live, he was talking about the accusations that he is a duck, that he's ducking Tom Aspinall. This is what Jon Jones said earlier today.
I got people in the chat calling me a duck. Meanwhile, I'm living my absolute best life. I don't know if it's considered ducking when you're living good. I don't think it works like that.
Ariel wasn't impressed. He flagged the IG Live not just for the questionable timing. Jon was allegedly driving, but for the deeper issue. Jones was missing the point entirely. To Helwani, this wasn't about Jon living his best life or chasing a reality show paycheck in Russia with Nate Diaz. It's about holding up the entire division. The title isn't just a trophy, it's a path, a livelihood, a chance for fighters like Tom Aspinall to carve their names into history. And Helwani didn't sugarcoat it. He said it plainly. Yes, you're ducking, not because Jones is scared, but because he's robbing others of the same opportunity. The kind of opportunity he once received from names like Brandon Vera, Shogun Rua, and Rampage Jackson.
Probably dangerous to do that. I mean, let's just be honest. You should not drive and be on IG Live. Second of all, look, he's doing this reality show with Nathan Diaz in Russia, and I'm told that the money is just absurd. It's astronomical. Get paid, well deserved. Both legends of the game. I totally understand it. But here's the part that I very much disagree with him. It's not about you, Jon. It's not about you. It's not about your life. It's not about your story. If you want to enjoy your life, if you want to be a part of a reality show, if you want to take that money and delay things and hold someone else's dreams back from becoming a reality, that is ducking. That is ducking, because there is a time-honored tradition in this business, in the sport, in combat sports, in fight sports, in sports period, that the whole thing has to move along. It's not about your story. Your story is great, and you're living your best life, great.
That's the irony. Jon's legacy was built because others gave him a shot. Now he's the one holding the keys, but instead of opening the door, he's locking it.
Belt. How many more times does Tom have to say it? He would love to fight him. He would love to be he would love to have the opportunity to be that guy. He would love it. Who wouldn't? But he just wants that belt. He wants whatever that belt signifies, whatever it symbolizes, and what it brings. It brings all the things that Jon Jones is enjoying right now, because if Jon Jones wasn't the most decorated champion, wasn't the greatest light heavyweight champion, wasn't the 2-division champion, he wouldn't be doing things like this. He wouldn't get opportunities like this. He wouldn't get the opportunity to live his best life. And now you are stopping someone else from living their best life. Do you get the difference? It's not about you.
By the time Aspinall gets a chance, it may be a full year since his last fight, which lasted 60 seconds. Ariel calls it a travesty, a crime against a fighter in his prime. And it all leads to one blunt ultimatum from Helwani: defend or vacate. No more stalling, no more detours. Either fight or step aside so someone else can.
And please tell Tom Aspinall, for the love of God, because by the time that fight happens, if it does happen on that day, it's going to be a year. We're approaching a year since his last fight, and that fight lasted 60 seconds. It is a travesty. It is a crime what is happening to Tom Aspinall in the prime of his life, in the prime of his career. Give up the belt.
That's where Tom Aspinall comes in. Tom's not just sitting around twiddling his thumbs. He's spoken out, and he's being honest. Yes, he believes Jon is ducking him. Not out of fear, necessarily, but because from Jones's perspective, there are easier fights with bigger paydays and less risk. And as much as Tom gets it, he still calls it what it is: ducking. In Tom's words, I understand it completely. Bigger fights, way less risk, more money. But do I think he's ducking me? Absolutely. That's not bitterness. That's just the reality of being a hungry interim champ stuck in limbo while the official champ is busy doing IG lives and reality shows in Russia.
Do you think Jon is ducking you?
Yes.
Was that Tom?
I think I said, yeah, he is. He definitely is. I think that there's just an easier path for him, and I understand it. I do understand it completely. I understand that there's bigger fights out there for him with way less risk and way more money. I understand it. But in all honesty, do I think he's ducking me? Absolutely.
I do.
Like, people are starting acting surprised. Oh, Jon's a duck, this, that, and the other. Jon Jones ducked Francis Ngannou for 3 years. Like, don't be surprised that this guy always takes fights where he's at the advantage.
And what makes this even more frustrating for Tom and fans alike is the repeated insistence from Dana White that this fight will happen in 2025. Over and over again, Dana's reassured the public that 2025 is the year. But we're halfway through the year now, and guess what? There's no date, no venue, no poster, no promo, nothing.
Tom Aspinall, I didn't read it. I told you guys already, we'll get Aspinall versus Jones done. Jon Jones versus the heavyweight fight will happen. Just relax. I'll announce that soon.
Our heavyweight is back. He's been out for a year as Tom after that injury last time out against Curtis Blades, taking on Marcin Tybura. What a great fight that is for the division. A big win here could really kick him on.
100%. I mean, the heavyweight division is super exciting right now. I mean, you got Jon Jones as the champion, so obviously a win for him is big. Imagine if we could end up with with an England versus Jon Jones fight.
Man, you're making me dream.
Meanwhile, Jon himself admitted he asked for another 6 months before coming back. 6 months from now is basically next year. So how exactly is this supposed to happen in 2025?
Jon Jones wants 6 months to prepare for Tom Aspinall fight once it's locked in. Money talks, but it feels like if summer is the goal, it's starting to slip away a bit. Even if you bring me the money, the timing is what I need to fight this guy. Why? Do you think that he's just kind of steering into this whole, he just doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall thing? Because Tom Aspinall was celebrating after Pereira lost because he felt like Jon Jones could not use Pereira anymore as a crutch to try to make that fight.
To Tom Aspinall, 100%.
Let's be real, this isn't just about ducking anymore. It's about stalling a division, delaying a fighter in his prime, and creating an unnecessary bottleneck at the top. If Jon doesn't want to fight, fine. No one's forcing him. But as Ariel said, defend or vacate, because this waiting game is only robbing someone else of the opportunity Jones once got. And that's really the heart of the issue. Jon Jones isn't necessarily afraid of Tom Aspinall. It's more about strategy. He's thinking legacy, not legitimacy. He's looking at his final run and asking himself, which 2 names can I add to my resume with the least amount of risk? And in that equation, Aspinall just doesn't fit. Not because Jon can't beat him, but because beating him would require going through a serious, dangerous test that might derail the perfect ending.
Dude, Jon Jones is an absolute disgrace to this earth. He's a joke. I mean, yeah, you beat Stipe. Stipe, respect to Stipe first off because he's a first responder and you know he puts his life on the line for the people and for his community. So shout out to Stipe. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time. But he was past his time. He shouldn't even have been there, man. He knows he was old and he was just showing up for a paycheck. That's not the Stipe of old. That was in his prime anymore. So. I don't think anything special that performance. I think Jon needs to stop ducking Tom Aspinall, just like he ducked Nagano. He ducked Nagano for years. Now he's ducking Aspinall. So he doesn't want to fight the guys he knows he's getting his ass whooped against. So I don't think anything special to Jon Jones.
That's why Jon's reportedly eyeing someone like Alex Pereira instead, a striker with huge knockout power, but someone Jon could easily take down and control. On paper, it's the smarter, safer choice. But if he takes that fight right after beating Stipe and still avoids Tom, the optics look bad, really bad. Now here's where it gets interesting because not everyone agrees on how this should play out. People like Canelo Alvarez and Tim Welch, for example, have voiced completely opposite takes on the Jon versus Tom situation.
Do you think Jon is ducking you?
Yes.
Was that Tom?
I think, I said, yeah, he is. He definitely is. I think that there's just an easier path for him. And I understand it. I do understand it completely. I understand that there's bigger fights out there for him with way less risk and way more money. I understand it. But in all honesty, do I think he's ducking me? Absolutely.
I do have to ask you about these reports of you being an asshole. Are they true?
Sometimes, yeah. Yes, I think everybody is sometimes.
The craziest thing was when Tom won the last fight in Manchester, I go, Tom, what do you want to say to the champ, Jon Jones? And Tom goes, Jon, you're a really nice fella, and I would love to fight you. And then Jon's like, this guy's...
Canelo, being a guy who's faced the best of the best in his sport time and time again, leans toward the idea of fighting the top contenders with no excuses. From his perspective, if you're holding the crown, you fight whoever's earned their shot, period. But Tim Welch, who's closely tied to fighters like Sean O'Malley and deeply understands the strategy behind MMA careers, sees it differently. For him, what Jon's doing is smart. It's calculated. Jon's done the work and earned the right to pick his exit carefully. Legacy matters just as much as meritocracy. Jon Jones keeps circling names like Alex Pereira and even Brock Lesnar, a fight that's more gimmick than greatness at this point. Meanwhile, the #1 contender, Tom Aspinall, waits in the shadows, getting more vocal about the obvious. Jon is ducking him, and who can blame Tom? He sees the writing on the wall. Jon's picking legacy, padding over real challenge. At some point, ducking becomes undeniable, and fans aren't buying the smoke and mirrors anymore. They want Jon versus Tom, the real test. Let us know in the comments. Is Jon protecting his record or just playing it smart? Don't forget to like and subscribe.